Good morning, everyone. It's Karen Whooley. Welcome to the Morning Hook. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, and this is a pre-recorded video because I am unable to do lives this week. I wanted to start this show by telling you we're going to be reviewing my book, A Garden of Shawls. It was released and self-published by me in June of 2027, and this is an amazing book for me. It was my first full-length book. It's over 100 pages, 12 patterns of shawls, and they're all designed to flow together in the idea of a garden. So they're named for things that are parts of a garden, and I just wanted to go in and show you. The very first part is the table of contents here. And I am, since 2027 in this book, my table of contents always shows you all the patterns. And if you buy it as an ebook, these pictures are actually clickable. So you can go to the table of contents, click on the picture, and go right to that pattern. And they're in the order, of course, that they are published in the book. And like I said, they're named things like incipient and palisade and breeze and drift. These are all things that I'll give you a feel for the garden. I have an introduction here talking about why these shawls were designed. I have a whole section on blocking and the tools you need and why gauge is so important. Here's a picture here with blocking. I was trying to get to the previous page, but these pages are sticky. Oh, here we go. So a section on before you get started, how to read a crochet chart, because everything is charted, and I'll show you that in just a second. All the abbreviations are in here. Of course, I'll talk about blocking. And then we go right into the shawls. And every shawl pattern has a beautiful, what we call a beauty shot that goes with it. And every pattern has been written to my standards, where you have all your information, the finished size, the materials, the gauge, if there's any special stitches, they're all listed, and also you've got the instructions on how to do them, like a picot or a foundation double crochet. There's always a picture of it laid out flat. You've got schematics for all the shawls, as well as stitch charts for every pattern, so that you can read the pattern that goes with it. And so here's Palisade. This is a beautiful yellow shawl. It's one of my favorites. I'm going to show you the shawl laid out. That's just gorgeous. It's one of my favorites. These are all side-to-side shawls for the most part. There are a few that are done top down. I'm going to try to get to one. Oh, this one was done on the bias at an angle. So this is called Aslant, and it's using a beautiful kind of granny stitch type thing, but it's worked at an angle, and so it gives a totally different view of the stitches. Here we go. So you can kind of see here with the edging that it's got this beautiful angle going. Solar is probably the most popular pattern in this book. Solar is a star-shaped pattern made with mini skeins that are in a gradient, and all I did was I just kept crocheting until it was time to add the next color. I never worried about where I was when I added the color. So if you've got a gradient set that you would like to use, this had 6 colors in it, but there's, you could do it in other ways as well. Here's one of the top down sweaters. This is called Eclipse. It was done in a cotton blend. Trying to remember. It was done in Anzula Fibers Breeze, which is a cotton 65% silk, 35% linen. Sorry, that was not cotton. That was linen. It's been a long time since I've done these. So, and this has triple crochets, which I don't use very often, but it has a lot of triples in there. So here's a really pretty picture. That linen silk blend really gives it a beautiful drape. These are all fingering and lace weight yarns. Here's Breeze. This is another one of my favorites that's in this book. Here we go. So you can see Breeze here. There's so many cool patterns. This is Drift. This is another top-down pattern. It's done with shells, and it's done with a yarn that's no longer available called yarn. Oh shoot, let me see if I can remember the name of the company. Yoth, a yarn on the house. They are no longer, they were a local to me dyer who's no longer dyeing yarn, but isn't that pretty? This is also another linen blend, I believe. And here's Briar, which is a beautiful pineapple stitch border, but done on side to side. So you are making the edgings along with the body of the shawl. So you only have 2 or 4 ends to weave in later when I'm doing side to side shawls, depending on how big your skein is and how big the shawl is. You may use the entire skein, or you might use or you might use 2, and you just have those ends to weave from the beginning and the end of the shawl. Here's the Briar. This one's a rectangular shawl, but it's worked side to side. Makes a beautiful scarf too. You could reduce the width of the main body on that one and make it a scarf. Now this is Violacious. Here's the picture here. This is another side to side shawl. But this one, I'm going to give you a little caveat on this one. Here's it laying flat. This particular shawl has no repeats. None. 0. Every single row of this pattern, there's 185 rows in this pattern. There's no repeat. So, I mean, well, there's repeats in there, but when you look at the chart, we had to chart every single row of this pattern in order to make the body of the shawl work along with the edging. Again, it's a side to side shawl, but because of the way those little violets in the main body of the shawl are done, it throws the whole repeat off. So that's something just to think about when you're going to do that. That is probably the hardest pattern in here, only because there are no repeats in that respect. This is Folio. And this one is a beautiful Italian lace pattern for the body of the shawl. This is another rectangle. But the lace edging I took my grandmother's stitch dictionary, made this shawl, but then I found a similar leaf edging right here that I used, and I modified that leaf edging to make it match the leaves that were in the Italian stitch dictionary. So here we go. Here's a good shot of that picture. That shawl, it's so pretty in person, and that colorway is gorgeous. And if I remember correctly, that dyer is no longer making, oh no, that's Fiber Seed, never mind. It's her Sprout inside on Sour Apple, so you can still get that yarn. I love that shawl, that's one of my favorites. Enchantment, this is a beautiful shawl too. This is a top down triangular shawl. This one is originally made with Yaxie from Blue Moon Fiber Arts in Oregon, and it's a yak yarn, and but you could make it in any fingering weight. But I just wanted to tell you this yarn because it's a unique yarn. As you can see, it's a top down. It's got a beautiful edge on it. That's the last shawl in the book. At the end of the book, I have resources. I can tell you all the yarns I use, where you can get them if they're still available. I'm not taking them out, even though some of them are no longer available, like Round Table Yarns. And I'm trying to think. Yoth Yarns is another one that's not available. Black Trillium's not available either. I'm going to leave them there though, because I don't know if their websites are still active. And if they are still active, you can at least go and look at the photos, or at the photos of the colors, and you can kind of get an idea of what they are and how to use them. I have a whole section here in the back on notes if you need extra pages to write notes. And that is it. Now, this book is available on my website. You'll see in the description, you'll see the link to this pattern or to this book. It is also available on Amazon, and both the digital version and the print version are available in both places. So also I use a software, or I don't know if I want to call it a software. It's a platform called Draft to Digital. and it will give you links to other shops like Kobo and Barnes & Noble and that kind of thing that you can buy the digital version as well. If you're more of a Barnes & Noble person or a Kobo person, that's a place to go, is draft to digital, and make sure that's in the show notes below as well. So this is one of my favorite books. I actually designed and wrote this book when my son started went away to school, basically, when he went to college, because I didn't want to think about it. And so I just dropped myself into yarn and designing these patterns and put them together as a book. And it actually came out the summer after he had his first year of college. So that's where why this book came into being, was because I needed something that was more than just doing a pattern at a time. I needed something to focus on. So this is a Garden of Shawls. I do have a lot in stock. So if you're interested in purchasing, make sure you go ahead and go to my website or to Amazon. You can get it either place. And if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow with my next book. Bye, y'all.